Hey guys, Steven here, and today I wanted to do a little vlog just catching you up on some things. Had some fun new riding experiences, so let's jump right in. So the first one, I have never had a passenger on the bike until the other day, and I've been riding for about a year and a half, a little bit more than a year and a half, and I felt like it was about time, you know, like, okay, been riding enough, I feel comfortable, got an idea of how to turn, got an idea of, you know, squaring the bars, coming to a stop, everything that I've learned in the course, when to brake, how far up to look, a bunch of other things. Feel pretty safe on the bike. So then it was just finding somebody that wants to ride with me. So finally dating again, and my date wanted to, well, she's my girlfriend now, wanted to ride on the bike with me. So I got her all geared up, and we embarked on riding around the neighborhood a little bit. So if you've never ridden with a passenger on board, you might be nervous like I was. So there's a reason for that. I think it's a fair reason. And you know, maybe if they're a smaller passenger, I don't know how you'll feel about this, but you know, if you have like a kid riding on board or something, then maybe it doesn't change things much at all, because your center of gravity is still at about the same part, and if they're light enough, it probably doesn't affect anything on the back, as long as they know how to behave as a passenger. But if you have an adult on the back, it is a little different, but have no fear, your controls still work the same. You just have a little bit more weight, a little bit higher maybe on the bike, so when you're doing this number, you know, you might feel that a little bit. So just when you're going into turns and other things like that, at first you may want to take them a little slower than you used to, and you may want to just be careful when you're braking to make sure the bike is handling the same. But in general, nothing really changes from when you were just riding by yourself, as long as you tell your backpack, that's not really a good name for it, but as long as you tell them basically to behave like a backpack, then that's it. If you lean, they lean with you. If you unlean, they unlean with you. I had an experienced backpack, I will just say. She's been on the back of a motorcycle before, so she kind of knew what to do. And I almost felt like she might have even been leaning going into turns before I was, which I thought was kind of interesting. Maybe she was looking. Maybe that's what it was. But, yeah. So one thing I did notice is, like, you really feel the shifts more. If you have someone on your back, kind of like every time you brake, or every time that, you know, if you're not shifting super smooth, their body weight kind of pulls forward into you. So you'll know if your shifting needs a little bit of tweaking, you know. And it may be that the shifting's a little bit different when you have a little bit extra weight on there, and that may have been had something to do with it too. But I did notice that it could have just been that I was nervous having someone on the back of the bike. But you know, maybe the shifting's slightly different too. Maybe you want to go slightly higher RPMs, because there's a bug flew into my visor, and I'm not sure what kind of bug it was, so I got a little nervous. It may still be in my helmet, I don't know. I'll know if I get stung. Anyway, that's a whole other story, having bugs fly into your helmet. Now I'm like looking around, making sure it's not there anymore. I don't see it, but I don't know. So anyway, yeah, having a little bit extra weight, you may want to rev slightly higher than you usually do. Not much. I mean, it's really not much different at all. But you may want to adjust things like that, just as you notice. And you may realize things like, oh, I could still work on shifting smoother. And some of it may be the bike, but some of it may also be me. So anyway, when we were on the bike, riding everywhere, just every now and then, you know, when she'd shift her weight or something, or, you know, just like a readjusting on the seat, you'd feel it. So it's like the main thing is just warning the other person ahead of time, like not to do too much of that, and like, you know, lean with you, turn with you, and unturn with you. And then basically it's the same, other than your center of gravity feels a little bit different. You have a little more weight a little further back on the bike, you know, just little things like that. And I do imagine that if, you know, if you're with somebody, I'm just going to say it flat out, if they weigh more, it'll probably affect your experience more. So if they're a kid and they're tiny, you probably won't notice a difference at all, unless they're really, you know, being a goofball back there or something and causing your balance to shift. But if they're an adult, an average adult, may not be that much different than you're riding, you know, as long as they're following along with you. I imagine, and this is just a guess, the larger the adult, the more you have to kind of adjust the way you're riding and be careful about how much gas you're giving on the throttle, so that, you know, if you have more weight on the back, you don't go back and everything. But other than that, it's really just riding. So that's my main takeaway on that. A funny little anecdote: when we were getting ready to go, I got her to sit on the bike just to, you know, make sure we could get on there with the kickstand down and everything, and just kind of get comfortable. And then she got off the bike, and she asked me, "Oh, did you lock the door?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I don't know." So she was not on the bike was off, but the kickstand was not down. So I ended up dropping the bike before we got to go riding, which was a little bit embarrassing. And that's the second time I've dropped the bike. Only the second time. So, you know, when you always hear people say, "Oh, you can been riding for years and blah blah blah," and then you might still drop the bike, so just don't worry about it, don't be embarrassed. Basically, just know that too. If you're riding with somebody or you're doing something else, you might be a little bit more nervous, and the nerves might get to you in ways like that, so just be careful. I was very fortunate. I don't think it did any damage, because I just dropped it on a flat surface. I didn't drop it down a hill like the first time, and there wasn't any extra momentum for any reason, and I may have even slowed it down with my leg before I dropped it. But haven't seen any scratches, haven't seen any dents anywhere, and the bike's been riding perfect, so I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, just a funny little anecdote about that. And then the other thing I wanted to say was thank you guys so much for 1,000 subscribers. So one of the reasons I'm making a first time having passengers on the bike video is because my first time on the bike ever video is the one most responsible for the most subscribers. And that video now has 100,000 views, which is insane. So thank you guys so much for watching that. And if you're a YouTube person, you may want to just take that as advice. First time videos, especially with motorcycling, if it's your first time doing something cool on the bike or first time riding ever, people like seeing those. I think beginners like watching those videos because it gives them more confidence that everybody kind of looked like a goofball probably the first time they rode and didn't know everything, and made mistakes, and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So if you're a motorcycle vlogger, just any sort of first time video might be a good thing to make. The good thing with the shorts is they don't know how old that video is either, so when it just comes up on their feed, they don't know if it's new or not. So they're just like, some people want to give you advice, which I think that's cool. It's a resource for other people that are beginner riders that are checking out that video. If they go through the comments, they might hear some good advice from people. Hopefully not too much bad advice, but it is what it is. And I didn't see any bad advice in the comments so far. Some that maybe was just not that like not super helpful, but not bad advice. But most of it was good advice. And then a lot of like words of encouragement, which I thought was real sweet. People were real nice on there. But thank you guys so much for getting this channel over 1,000 subscribers. It means a lot to me. It's been a lot of fun making this content, riding around, sharing the experience of learning to ride, and new experiences like having a passenger on board and all the things in between. So I appreciate y'all being here and being part of the ride along for the journey. But thanks again for tuning in. I hope y'all are enjoying this wonderful weather and getting to ride if you're a biker, or hopefully that you get a chance to if you're someone looking to start riding. Maybe you'll take the course during this nice weather. I highly recommend not doing it when it's any hotter than it is now in Georgia, because you will overheat. I overheated a lot, so just know that is a potential. But yeah, and once again, just recapping stuff, if you have a passenger on board, just know that, okay, and I'm just watching to make sure people are stopping. Good eye, guy. Appreciate that person. Just, you know, make sure that you're not trying to show off for them the first time they get on your bike, the first time you have a passenger. Go slow, treat it like maybe the first time you were on the bike. Be nice to them. Don't suddenly accelerate, especially if they're not holding on tight. You know, just really obvious logical stuff. Make sure they're wearing the right gear. This, that, and the other. And don't ride anywhere too crazy. Don't ride through like heavy traffic the first time or anything. Alright, I gotta make this this is a long one. It's a long one. Hopefully this person sees me. Golly. Okay. But yeah. By the way, this is my commute to work that I'm doing right now. So it's kind of fun. I decided to take the back roads today. Sometimes I'll take the interstate, but honestly it's still fun. It's enjoyable in different ways. But I'm a guitar teacher, so I have a guitar over my shoulder right now, and it's just better to take back roads going slower speeds when you're carrying extra gear. But thank y'all so much for tuning in, and thanks for getting the channel up to 1,000 subscribers. I appreciate all of you guys and girls. Speaking of which, there are a lot more female riders, it seems like, than there used to be. A lot more females interested in riding. It may just seem like that because I'm part of a lot of the Honda Rebel forums, and it's kind of the perfect entry point for a lot of shorter riders, which includes a lot of female riders that might be a little bit shorter. So I see a lot more female riders, and so that's kind of a good thing, I think, just in general, that everybody's riding and people are enjoying it. But I have had people call this bike a girl's bike, and mostly in comments on YouTube, not an actual person. But I think it's because it has a low seat height and because it's a 500cc platform rather than something a little more powerful. But it does everything that I need it to do. It accelerates fast enough to get out of the way. I've never been in a situation where I needed more acceleration than this. It handles pretty well. Maybe there are other bikes that handle better, sure, but it handles pretty well. Okay, she's waiting. Appreciate her waiting. But I don't know, it's a good looking bike. When I think of like motorcycle, I think of something like this. I don't think of something super duper crazy. And like back in the day, people weren't as concerned about having, you know, really, really large engines or whatever. So there's that too. Alright. Watch out on these roundabouts. But yeah, I like taking this way to work because it's just very relaxing and peaceful in comparison to going on the interstate. Although most of the time I'm running late, I have to do the interstate anyway. Today, this is a totally weird thing to say and talk about probably, but my ears got cleaned out. So I had a lot of wax buildup in there. Who knows, maybe it's from riding and shoving earplugs in there. But I'm a musician, so kind of need my ears to work. And yeah, so that was interesting. So get your ears checked, wear earplugs when you're riding. This is your public service announcement. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this. And yeah, I've enjoyed making this video for you. It's fun talking about all those things. It was a lot of fun having a passenger, you know, now that I have a girlfriend that's willing to get on the back of the bike. It's kind of a nice change. It's kind of fun. So hopefully I'll get to do more of that. Oh, the other thing, she said she did get sleepy on the back. So make sure your riders don't get too sleepy while they're riding back there, and try to check on them every now and then just to make sure they're okay and that they're still hanging on and not overheating, and, you know, maybe have a system worked out where they can tap you on the shoulder if they need you to pull over, that kind of stuff. But I hope y'all have a great day. It's excellent riding weather, at least here in Georgia, so hopefully it is where you're at too. It might rain later, but right now it's pretty blue skies. So y'all take care, have a good rest of your day. Thanks again for 1,000 subscribers. Thanks for hanging out and riding along. See you guys on the next one.